read and ready. But it is very special because it is a print version of a webtoon that is not in English, printed in a very special promotional only edition. It is not for sale anywhere. So if you get one, if I see it on eBay, I'm going to kill you. I don't want to find ways to look at it. But I want to make sure that someone who gets it is someone who really wants it.
We're going to begin the panel in just a few minutes. I just wanted to say thank you for joining us. As you know, Comic-Con's a masked event, and we really appreciate everyone staying masked for the duration of this panel, unless you're actively eating or drinking.
But here's the kicker. Everyone has 60 seconds to sell you on why this manga is awesome. Or if you use the word manga, why it sucks. At which point, the bell will ring, and then have to wrap it up. Louder. Yeah. So that's how best words manga panel works. Now, let's go down the line and let's have our panelists introduce themselves. Please, start Bridget.
Hi, I'm Bridget Elverson. I've been reading and writing about manga for 17 years now. I am a contributing editor at icbc.com. I write for School Library Journal and Publish It Weekly, and I'm the editor of the Great Comics for Kids blog and SnackPages.net.
You're done it? I think you do the graphics. They're looking at the audio now. What? They're looking at the audio now. The audio recorder.
Oh dear, okay. Sorry, well, it's very important to know what. My name is...
I'll let you know. Sorry, okay, so the other explanation for why I made so particular about the soundboard thing is I'm going to record the audio, and I'm going to post it on our blog at onexplainingextra.com. So I'm going to use the audio and the slides, because just telling you the list of titles is not enough. All right, one more time, Bridget. Here we go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bridget Alverson. I have been reading and writing about manga for 17 years, maybe longer, who knows. And I am the, now I forgot what I did that. Oh, I'm the contributing editor at icb2.com. I write for Publishers Weekly and School Library Journal. I am the editor of the Good Comics for Kids blog at School Library Journal, which also covers manga. And I am also an editor at SmashPages.net. Don't write about comics for money is my motto.
I'm Neuzeth. I am a video content creator. I mainly talk about shoujo and josei manga on TikTok and YouTube, and I have amassed 68,000 followers on TikTok. So community has grown a lot. So that's what I do. Just talk about manga, share my recommendations, and I also like sharing other things that I like rhythm games and anime and stuff like that. So yeah.
Same.
We're team internet here.
Same but more.
Same but more. I'm Riley. I go by the Omnibus Collector on YouTube and on TikTok. I talk about manga and comics and stuff. I've been reading manga for about 20 years now and collecting for as long. And yeah, that's about it.
Hello, I'm Jillian Brutus. I'm a school librarian in New York City. I'm also the Japanese Culture and Manga Special Collections librarian for the New York City Department of Ed. I also host the international webinar series, Manga in Libraries, to advocate for manga and to educate librarians about getting manga in their libraries.
Hello, darlings. My name is Siddharth. You'll know me online as Lum Ramayasha, and I host the podcast Manga Mavericks and Lum Squad. Manga Mavericks is a podcast where we discuss manga as both a medium and as an industry, and Lum Squad is a podcast devoted to my favorite series, The Wonderful Micro World of Ruben Hashi's classic sci-fi rom-com manga, Urusei Yatsura. And yeah, we are going to talk about the manga, the films that are available, and now new anime's coming. We're excited to talk about that too. So if you're a Urusei Yatsura fan, check out shit. Look forward to that. And if you like discussion of manga, just broadly all types of series, discussions with folks working in the industry, and a ton of other cool folk, listen to Manga Mavericks. You can find both podcasts on our website, mangaverse.com, where I also contribute manga reviews as well.
My name is Deb Osley. I am one quarter of the Manga Swing podcast. Arguably not the cutest, but the only one who likes children. Anyway, let's see. Steph here. She is our time mistress. So let's see if we can get through this. We're going to kind of get through everything, so we have lots of time to give you some great stuff again. First up, best new manga for kids and teens. Julia, you're up.
Okay, yeah. So I wrote some book talks. Are we ready? We're ready. Kaiju number 8 is up for an Eisner today, so hopefully that happens.
Yeah.
To protect citizens from kaiju, the Japanese Defense Force battles these monsters to the death. Once the monster is killed, the sweepers come in, clean up the mess, and dispose of the remains of the monster corpse. Kafka, the main character, is a sweeper. This is not what he wanted to do when he grew up. He had dreams of fighting for the Japanese Defense Force ever since his hometown was destroyed by kaiju. Unfortunately, he kept failing the test, so he gave up on his dream. While not too thrilled, he resigned to life as a sweeper. To be honest, a part of me always wondered what they did with the bodies of kaiju. Do you realize how much goo there is? I can't even clean up a cockroach. Anyway, one day, with new rules and a new recruit, Kafka is pushed and inspired to reconsider his dream. Feeling ambitious and completely determined, he decides to go for it. But that's when a little kaiju flies into his mouth, turning him into a shape-shifting kaiju with powers. Unfortunately, the first time Kafka transforms into a monster. He is kaiju number 8.
Yeah, gotta play songs. All right, my pick is In a Clear Moonlit Dusk. It's a shoujo manga by Mika Yamamori. She did Daytime Shooting Star. It is a story about a girl who, basically, she's very handsome. She's very jealous. She's strong. So most of girls and boys, girls think her as a prince. Most of the boys don't think of her as a girl at all. Until this other guy comes along, who just finds her incredibly beautiful. He doesn't understand why, but he just finds her incredibly beautiful. This is a kind of interesting, odd couple romance that's a slow burn. The art is exquisite. The way that she expresses emotions, the subtle emotions of these two characters, is just a joy to watch. Please check it out. He also just did an episode that's on Manga Spinning. Even though Chip didn't like it, I still love it.
All right, so I've got Sakamoto Days here. We follow a former hitman, and he has since retired. He's trying to live a normal life, supporting his family, working in a corner store, but as things go, you can't leave that life behind. So he gets pulled back in, and we get this fantastic action comedy series with just superbly kinetic artwork. It is such a fun title that has just been doing so much in Weekly Shonen Jump since it debuted about a year ago. The first 2 volumes are available from Viz Shonen Jump line for y'all to pick up and read.
Okay, quick question for the audience. Who has read Descending Stories? Anyone? Okay, so first of all, you should go read it, but this book is not that. This is a book about rakugo, the traditional Japanese art of storytelling, where the storyteller just sits on the stage with 1 or 2 props and weaves a story and transports the audience away. In this case, the book is also set in Kyoto in the Taisho period, and it follows a tanuki, a mischievous shape-shifting raccoon dog, who, upon seeing the magic that the rakugoka creates, decides that that is what she wants to do. So this is a story about a female rakugo master, a female tanuki, and it's boisterously funny. Let me put it that way. It is hilarious. The art is great. It's very expressive and kind of cartoony and kinetic, and it has both traditional Japanese art and the fact that it is set during an interesting period going for it.
Right, Laura? Yeah.
All right. So my pick is my love mix-up. The name says it all. It's literally a mix-up. We have boy likes girl, Boy borrows girl's eraser that has another name written on it. Boy drops eraser. The boy picks, the other boy sitting in front of it, picks it up and thinks, oh, he has a crush on me. Instead of being repulsed by it, it's like, oh, maybe I should give him a chance type of thing. And we have two boys who just don't know whether they like each other or not. They kind of roll with it. It's like, okay, we'll take time to kind of figure out our feelings. It's very endearing, funny, and breath of fresh air for shoujo week because there's no BL representation in this shoujo week. So it's a very cute story. There's 5 volumes out. The 5th one just came out recently. So I highly recommend it. It's not your typical high school shoujo because of the BL element and the fact that you follow not only the main couple, but the girl also gets her own love story as well.
Yep, Vaseline is a fun fantasy adventure about a princess, definitely smart, but perhaps a bit more headstrong than wise. And her timid companion, nicknamed Ivan the Bull, though he's a little more sheepish, but he's very observant, is Pret Porcupine. And they go on an adventure on a simple search for a golden apple-stealing firebird that leads them to encounters with witches and dragons and demons and curses, man-eating mountains, and even on a rainbow bridge into the heavens themselves. Inspired by pagan Eastern European folklore, amalgamating Slavic, Balkan, Scandinavian myths, Karabi Keishi weaves these stories together brilliantly to create a truly unique setting. And as you'll see, their art style resembles more the cartooning sensibilities of American comics animation, which they cite as clear influences in their afterwork, particularly Tom Moore, Cartoon Saloon's Irish Folk Girl Trilogy, Secret of Kells, Wolfwalkers, and also the work of Jonan Vasquez. There's definitely a character in there that's like very Invader Zim-esque. So it is a lot of fun, you know. It's just a fun tour through folklore, make you jump with joy, and out you need for dead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna dream of that.
Other thing, it's just going to bring across the ball. It's going to be so unapologetically filthy. Right. Best new manga for grown-ups. The first one up is my pick, Gundala. This is my all-time favorite manga that came out this past year. It's about it's about a boy who believes in UFOs and paranormal activity, and a girl who goes to the same school who believes in ghosts and spirits. Mostly because her, I don't know, kind of crazy grandma is a spiritualist. So both of these people meet each other, and then they decide, you're full of shit. There are no ghosts. There are no ghosts. So they dare each other to go. The girl who doesn't believe in ghosts, the boy who doesn't believe in ghosts is dared to go to a haunted place. The girl who doesn't believe in UFOs is dared to go to another place where aliens have been seen. And things just get pretty deep from there. I don't want to spoil because if you read it, your jaw's going to just drop. What the heck's happening? Giant crabs, zombies, water spirits. It's just a laugh of it. And then in the background, there's this cute little romance.
Yeah,
Do y'all like spice?
Yeah!
So our main character in this one is deathly afraid of women, especially when they're coming on to him. And so when he sees them I see y'all taking pictures. When he sees them coming on to him, he sees them as predators, like alpha predators, alligators, lions, bears that are trying to devour him. So I'm not meat for you to devour. I really love this. This is hilarious. It is a sex comedy series. And the main character is not some beige male lead like you get in a lot of this kind of stuff, like most male spicy titles. So there's something for female readers with him, obviously, you can see him right there. But there's a lot of boobs and butts as well for the guys part of this one. So this is a hilarious series, and it's only 3 volumes total, so it's not going to take up a lot of shelf space.
Okay, so this is I Want to Be a Wall, which is one of the few series that has been printed about an asexual woman. So the premise is you have an asexual BL fangirl that has to get married to a gay man who has unrequited feelings for his childhood friend who's straight. So they both find themselves in a relationship that neither of them wants to be in, but they were both stuck in the same place where they felt like they were going to be living their life alone. She's incapable of loving, he's incapable of loving his best friend because he's completely unaware that he has feelings for his best friend. It's very endearing, very sweet, very touching as well. But it also has its comedic moments, and the fact that we're getting more LGBTQI representation in manga, I think is really great. I know Kodansha is also going to be publishing another series with an asexual woman as well, so more representation is really great.
So this book is a lot more heavy and serious, but Mariko Kiguchi's memoir about her relationship with her alcoholic father, exploring, her relationship with him from her childhood all the way into her adult years, really resonated with me deeply for its portrayal of her struggle, figuring out how to reconcile, how to engage with, and how she feels about her abusive father. And it really shows how complicated relationships with abusive family members can be and how devastating it is to be unable to help someone you really care about, despite the things they may do to you, and the damaging psychological effects growing up with an abusive parent can have on your self-esteem and ability to form relations trust with others. But it ends with a hopeful message of her learning to heal from these broken relationships and start to grow, form healthier relationships of love, and bit by bit kind of rebuild herself. So it's a tough read, but I think it can be very compelling and cathartic if you can really empathize and resonate with her experiences.
Summertime Rendering is a manga whose cover doesn't exactly tell the full story of what's going on. It's a mystery, and it's a mystery with a time travel element. If you read Erased by Kei Sanbei, it's a little bit similar. The hero goes back in time. So in this case, it's also set on an island, which I feel like most of the really good manga are set on islands for some reason. So Shinpei, who has been away from the island for 2 years, returns for the funeral of his good friend, possibly romantic interest, Ushio. But it quickly becomes clear that something is not right. And sure enough, as he starts time moving, he learns more and more. And this turns into a heavy supernatural story as well, with a horror element, where shapeshifters are coming and taking over the bodies of the people on the island. It has great art, and it has a story that just grabs you and drags you in. Udon is publishing it in 6 volumes, so you can read the whole story. Enjoy.
X-Gender is an autobiographical manga about Asuka. Asuka is X-Gender, as they do not identify male or female. But it is not until they reach their early 30s that Asuka realizes that they like women. They spent years wondering why the thought of marrying a man, having sex with a man, or carrying his child equals doom or terrible fate. So Asuka starts to attend some dating meetups at a bar for mixed genders and sexualities. Here, Asuka feels safe and begins to open up and talk to a community of friends that are supportive. As characters within the manga share their stories and experiences with Asuka, Asuka begins to learn about themselves and begins to figure out their body and their sexuality, while we collectively learn about gender terminology, sexual identities, trends, surgeries, etc. On the other hand, Asuka also addresses the complicated expectations for being born with a female reproductive system, addressing topics like pregnancy, PMS, periods, tampons, pads. As we learn alongside Asuka, we realize the significance of powerful emotions, finding somewhere to belong, and the importance of friends in our lives.
Moving on to the best continuing manga series for kids and teens. This is something that has had at least 1 new volume in the past year. Right, here we go.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I need to introduce One Piece to you. I've been reading One Piece for 19 years now, and this year has been such a year for this series, and every fan has been reading it. I can't talk enough about it. I only have a minute. So. If you haven't started your journey yet, yes, it's a lot, but it is always worth it. And I wish constantly that I could go back to being 12 again and experience the beginning for the first time.
Okay. Blue Lock. I do not watch sports, I don't play sports, but to be fair, I still read sports manga. And for some reason, the cover of Blue Lock caught my attention, so I decided to read it. And that's when I had all these intense, high-action, quick-paced, thrilling, nail-biting, edge-of-your-seat what-happens-next feelings. These Battle Royale, Hunger Games, Squid Games, fight to the death, but with soccer feelings? After Japan fails to win the World Cup, the soccer community is determined to fix the problem and find the best striker in Japan with a thirst for victory so that they can win. So they hired a trainer named Ego. The name is obviously intentional. He takes 300 of the best soccer players in the country and sends them to the state-of-the-art facility named Blue Lock. The goal is to have groups of players compete against each other in tournaments where there is one man left standing, the one who will become the striker for Japan. Normally in a sports manga, players learn to work as a team and support each other, but Blue Lock requires players to self-examine and come face-to-face with their own limitations and human nature. It's all about winning, glory, and ego.
Okay, the most simplistic way I can explain King's quality is take your Kaizen, but add more female leads, really badass females, and instead of purses, you have bugs. So in Queen's Quality, you have a world where sweepers not only physically sweep and clean like places, but they go into people's mind spaces that are corrupted with these bugs. And the bugs are their negative emotions, depression, and sometimes even suicidal thoughts. And they go and cleanse the mind. It is very dark, much darker than your typical shoujo manga. There's a lot of action. The artwork, as you can see from the cover, is incredible. And you're also presented with a really great romance as well, which is a little bit unexpected. It's not the main focus, but it's a nice one just because it's so pure-hearted. But definitely, the action scenes are incredible. And the fact that it's mostly women doing the killing, and you just have to see it, honestly. It's one that is really nice.
I'm trying to get past that. So, Skip and Gopher is a really charming slice of life. Manga is about this girl named Mitsumi. She moves from a very, very small town to Tokyo. She is ambitious. She has dreams of getting straight A's and becoming the mayor or governor of her small town. She's very upbeat and kind, but in being a country girl living to a city, somehow, I guess the city kids just don't quite get her. Or they don't quite get why she's so nice, or why she's so kind-hearted. And eventually she does win them over. Now this sounds like a super saccharine comic, but actually it's very, very smart. It's very heartwarming. It's got a lot of great characters in it, and anime's coming soon, so I hope you give it a chance.
Ooh, keep your hands off Aizuken. So this is a manga that I love because it just expresses the sheer joy of creativity, you know? And as I look around this room, I think this is probably a manga a lot of you guys would like because it's about three girls who sort of form a bootleg anime club. It's very unofficial at their high school. And one of them loves to draw elaborate worlds and technology and create these great settings. One of them loves to create interesting characters. And one of them is extremely down to earth and is always trying to figure out how to make money. And one of the real beauties of this manga is when they get started talking, the world forms around them that they're creating, and you kind of get to see them, you know, interacting in and outside of this world. And at the same time, they've got a lot of spirit. They're really like unusual but not weird kids, and they, as I said, there's a lot of joy in it, a lot of creative joy.
My summer review is a story about two boys whose relationship revolves around their shared love of movies, and they, slowly start to fall in love. Chiharu is like kind of the cool guy who a lot of girls hit on. Mataru is kind of more of a scraggy who, is just morally nerdy, but really cares about Chihiro. And in the second volume, the summer with you, it navigates their relationship as, they've kind of grown up since the first one. They're going to college. They haven't seen each other much over a year because, they're moving into places, going to school. So it's about them kind of figuring out how to make the relationship work, finding ways to see each other more often, navigating feelings of jealousy and kind of loneliness. And yeah, I just really related with this relationship because I have relationships like that in my own life, with friends and people I really love, built around shared passion for movies, just shared hobbies. So I really resonate with the story.
That's continuing manga series for grown-ups. First up, Riley.
Golden Kamuy has been one of my favorites for a while. It has everything in it. It is a fantastic action-adventure series following the immortal Sugimoto, who was a veteran of the Russo-Japanese War, as he searches for the map to find a hidden Ainu treasure. The map is tattooed across the bodies of many prisoners who have escaped from one's adventure. It is very often the funniest thing that I'm reading as well. It's dramatic, and you learn a ton about Ainu culture, in particular food. And I'm a big fan of gourmet manga, so that hit a spot for me. It wrapped up recently, or is wrapping up soon in Japan, 31 volumes, so we're almost at the finish line in the US, and I'm so excited for it. If you haven't read this series, please, I implore you, there's something for everyone.
If you have a Shonen Jump subscription, it won't be available on the app, but if you go to the website, you can read it all. You just have to sign in because you're over 18. All right, here's my favorite. Hands down, no question about it. Oh my god, this manga is the most funny manga I've read all year. Okay, so the deal is like there's this tropical island where there's a bunch of tribes, and then every couple of years, the certain chosen warriors are battling each other to see who's going to be the next king of the island. How do they battle each other? You have to see who comes first. To protect themselves from not coming first, they wear these very elaborate things around their thing. I'm trying to be 18 safe. It lives up to its title and more. It is so funny. Let's just say that after many hundreds of years on this island and having this battle, it takes an outsider to tell them what a prostate's like. I promise, even if you don't think you like the manga, please go on. Please.
So my take is Cherry Magic. I mean, you can read the title. It's a very quirky romantic comedy. You have a guy who enters his 30s, still a virgin, and magically gets the power to read people's minds when he touches them. So you can imagine crowded subways, the office days. He can read every single mind. Whether he wants it or not, he knows what people are thinking, including his coworker that apparently has had feelings for him. And he's not sure whether he's gay or not, so he just doesn't know whether or not to reciprocate those feelings. He's never been in a relationship with anyone, male or female, so you just have a lot of awkward moments. Although he's 30, he acts like a teenager, saying "my love makes-up," but naked awkward 30-year-olds. So it's really, really cute. There is a live action as well, which is also really good, but the manga is amazing. Highly recommend.
Real is about 3 teens who are grappling with the psychological hurdles that come with, changing physical ability. In the case of 2 of the characters, it's due to disability, the loss of use of her legs. In the case of the character Sagawa, who used to be a track runner, Takahashi used to be a star basketball player. And one character is just kind of a guy who's kind of like aimless and he's kind of out of shape. And only once had ambitions of being, a pro basketball player. But they're all united through their refound passion for sports and competitions through basketball, Casey Scott, Takashi again, wheelchair basketball, and Mia getting back into basketball. But they're still dealing with kind of inferiority complexes, fears of their bodies fail them, not being able to live up to their dreams. And this volume 15 was the first new volume real to be published in nearly 6 years. Last volume came out in English April 2016. And I found it a great reintroduction and compelling exploration of the characters, refining and redefining what drives them forward, learning they still have room to grow, realizing that no, despite the setbacks they face, their lives are not over. It's only just beginning.
Right. So, Seven Seas publishes Blue Giant as 5 2-in-1 omnibus volumes, and this is important. So the first 2 volumes, we start out with Miyamoto Dai, who one sweaty night discovers jazz and decides immediately that he wants to be the greatest jazz player in the world. So the first 2 volumes are kind of like a sports manga, in that he seems to have a competitive approach. And of course, does he take lessons or read a book or watch a YouTube video? No. He takes the sax and he goes and he plays the sax for hours and hours and hours every night by the side of a river. So, I do not recommend. However, eventually, so this part is very much like, I want to be the greatest, I want to be the greatest. Then in the 3rd volume, it switches over because he moves to Tokyo and he forms a trio with, now I have to look up the names, Yukinori, who has been learning piano the old-fashioned way since he was 4. And then their roommate, Tamada, who can't play the drums, but learns the same way that Dai does. It's a great manga.
Blood on the Tracks is a suspenseful thriller and a psychological horror, but without the blood and gore. This story messes with me, and I almost can't even explain why. On the surface, this manga seems like a pretty typical story about a middle school boy named Sechi and his mother, Saiko, who some may consider a little overprotective with all of her touching and closeness. But Seichi loves his mother, and he doesn't seem to notice anything that's off about her. So while Seichi's mom may seem just like a kind and loving woman, you know that there is something definitely wrong. There's this slow-burning, underlying dark tone and tension that you just can't put your finger on. Like there's something disturbing, uncomfortable, creepy, some messed up shit going on. And then, one day, something terrible happens, and Seichi's life begins to spiral into an uncontrollable nightmare. Unfortunately, I can't tell you what that is, because it will spoil it for you. But if you want to read a manga that makes you want to violently scrub yourself in the shower,
Oh, good.
All right, you're waiting for this.
Prepare some hot takes.
So speaking of wanting to scrub yourself in the shower, the worst manga for anyone. Riley.
Deadpool Samurai firmly misunderstands this character and puts him just as a walking joke. And I know that that's the impression that a lot of people have about Deadpool. But this seems like it was written by someone who maybe just watched the trailers for the movies. Yeah, so I'm just as much of a comic reader as I am a manga reader, and I've read just about every single issue of Deadpool comics, and the character uses humor to escape his past traumas. He is a deep and dark character, and there are so many runs that I would recommend you read, way ahead of reading Deadpool Samurai, because this is just a shame. So please, I recommend you to read Joe Kelly's run on Deadpool, or Jerry Dugan and Brian Posehn's run on Deadpool, but I do not recommend you read Deadpool Samurai.
Here's mine. All right. Okay, first of all, it has all the things that I generally don't like. Okay, the villainous story. Another one. Oh, it's another title with at least 8 words in it. But this one takes this particular concept to a very stupid place. All right, so the deal is, the character is a college student who gets transported to an Otakuni game. She is the villainess, and she is destined to die. Sounds familiar, yes? Here's how she solves this problem. She comes into this world as a 4-year-old. She decides to use her magic to make guns. Because in her previous life, she was a gun nut. So she uses the power of alchemy to make sawed-off shotguns. Machine guns. And all with the goal that she will not have a miserable end. This is repulsive manga. I'm so delighted to find out that there's a lot of mediocre manga, a lot of boring manga, and very few as bad.
Oh no.
If you guys went to the World Heroes movie last fall, they gave out this little booklet, and the actual manga content of this booklet is only 10 pages. Like, most of it is interesting interviews and stuff, but the manga in here is just so atrocious on a technical level. The lettering is left aligned in dead center. Font choice has no accounting for tone or style or emphasis. The translation is very stiff and not accounting for the personality of the characters. They did not give this to Viz to do in the normal team that handles the series. They contracted a company called Wedge Holdings, which normally translates like Yu-Gi-Oh card descriptions. They don't work on manga, and it shows. Like, on a purely technical level, just has a really poor localization. And I know that the people who work on MHJ's localization were upset that this was shipped out to theaters nationwide rather than them working and actually doing a good job on it. So. Yeah. I like MHA, which is another reason why I didn't like this localization. Just, the curation should have put the bill for Viz to actually do a good job. I don't know how quality control wise they could like handle like that with Brody saying way too noisy, you could get a pass. How you
And if you're very, very lucky, you make a rock, paper, scissors match and win your very own copy.
There was stacks and left in my theater for months after the movie was out.
Alright, Laura.
So this is one that actually my friend Steph, who's the timekeeper, was like, hey, read it. Let me know what you think. So the story follows a young boy who was locked away by his own mother and pretty much raised to be a serial killer. Something happens to his mother. He has to escape. He runs away, but it's his first time entering society. He's never seen people. He's never even seen it. He was locked away by his own mother. So yeah, he goes on a killing spree, and there's points where I felt like, oh, maybe we'll get a breakthrough from him. He's kind of taking in his surroundings and interacting with people, but no, he kills. And then it keeps going around in this cycle. So for me, it just felt disappointing because I saw the potential, but there was nothing psychological, nothing to analyze in the way he rationalized his killing. It was just, you would get gore and horror for the sake of that without any explanation. So it related too much of the shock factor for me.
Crazy food truck.
Crazy food truck. Oh, this is about to be a Mad Max, Tank Girl, Walking Dead dystopian adventure with food sign made up, but then I read it and womp womp. Don't get me wrong, it started off great. A food truck in a desert wasteland. The cook Gordon wears a black bandana, black apron, black glasses, black mustache, singing about the sandwich that he's making, and I was like, yo, this guy gets me. But then he meets Arissa, a naked woman just sleeping in the middle of the road. He brings her on board, he feeds her, and we know nothing about her. She is perpetually hungry and naked. And when she does eat, she often chokes on it. She barely speaks, she often sleeps, and all of this is happening in a real, annoying, eye-rolling kind of way. Fast forward to the end, they roll into a town that reminded me very much of Negan and the Saviors. This environment is hostile and full of non-consensual touching of women, which, no thanks. But to wrap this rant up, one thing that I really missed from this manga was any emotional connection to characters. I'm finished. Which is one of the reasons why I love manga, but I felt nothing for these characters. Also, we learned nothing about this world, and when it comes to cooking manga, we want to see the process of cooking, and there is none of that. At the end of Volume 1, Gordon asks, why do I bother? And Gordon, I was wondering the same thing.
A little more uplifting right now. We're going to the most anticipated new manga. These are manga that have been licensed by companies and will be coming soon to a store near you in the next year or so thereabouts. Please pre-order. First.
So this one was actually one that I had to change my answer to because it got recently announced at Anime Expo. So this is a series that is one of the best-selling series in Japan. There's no anime for it. There is a live-action drama, and it is written by a very famous mangaka, Yumi Tamura, who has written Basara and Seven Seas. And yeah, among the shoujo Joseph community, it was one that we were just wondering why. If it sold over 2 million copies in Japan last year, and it's been constantly on top of the Oricon bestseller list, why hasn't it been translated in English? Thankfully, Seven Seas finally did it. They're going to be publishing it. But it follows a young college student as he solves mysteries. But when you begin the story, he's basically brought into the police station to get questioned because they think he has murdered a classmate. So it's a psychological drama. It's really great, and you're finally going to be able to read it. Please read. Yeah, please read.
So like in February, I believe it was when Liz announced this, when that tweet came up, I literally like was in my house like, yes! Like I screamed, and I was asked what happened. But Thus Spoke Girl Kishibe, the spin-off series of Araki's like self-insert character and his favorite character, is finally getting translated into English, and I couldn't be more excited for this. And it's going to get beautiful hardcover editions that will go nicely on your shelf next to your volumes of JoJo's, because I know you're all collecting it. And it's just so, he's so beautiful. Like, look at his eyes. Anyway, I can't possibly anticipate this any more than I already am.
So as a fan of Miyazaki's films, and of course Nausicaa manga, I was very excited to see another one of his manga translated. Shun's Journey especially has like so many seeds for ideas he explores further in Nausicaa and Princess Mononoke. The premise is about a prince of like a poor land who one day encounters a traveler who tells him the story of like a fields of golden grain, has like a golden seed, and so he goes out and search for that. And First Second is actually giving away like samplers of this in the exhibit hall that you can go check out. But it's really cool. Like it's a full color work, and the art is just like gorgeous in here. Like really beautiful, like looks like watercolor illustrations. I will say it doesn't really resemble what you expect of a traditional comic. It looks like art boards, concept art for a film, and it's more like a picture book quality to me. But it's still like really gorgeous, and yet you can still see like a lot of clear visual ideas that could explore further. Like this golden field with grain is like an image right now. It's got there yaks that the prince rides on, being get cool. So you know, yeah, it's really cool.
I heard about it only 2 weeks ago at the Manga Expo. And Ben, who's in Library, he did a masterful job of selling it. I was like throwing money at it. Basically, the Yakuza's Life is about a Yakuza enforcer. He is a bodyguard for the leader's daughter, who gets into K-pop. Now, he kind of like sees, he's not into it, but then he finds out that being a K-pop stan is kind of like being a Yakuza. He values loyalty and doing anything for when you're serving, right? So then it's kind of like the screenshots I see of the pages is like, he's there with the light sticks and the banners, and then this artist, she did Boys Love manga before. Has a book called A Home Far Away that's out from Kuma. So she draws the K-pop guy. So cute. And the Yakuza guys look so scary. Anyway, it looks awesome. I can't wait for it.
Okay, my dear detective, Mitsuko's Case Files. I love mystery novels because I love a good puzzle. And I always feel like it would be a perfect type of story for manga and graphic novels, and yet they hardly ever do it because you could have visual clues. So when I saw this one, I immediately thought, oh, this is going to be good. And I'm hoping I'm not disappointed. Otherwise, you'll hear about it as my worst one. But it has a female detective. It is set in the 1920s, which is like at the beginning of the Showa period, which is an interesting period because it was a time of a lot of change. And it's about a female detective and her handsome assistant, so I'm hoping there'll be a little bit of romantic tension in there as well. But basically, I love a good mystery, and finally, manga is giving me one.
I obviously haven't read this because I'm not a pet. I know there was a light novel, I haven't read that either, but anyway, okay. So I took this blurb directly from the Press website. When Sasaki brightens up his tired corporate life by buying a pet sparrow, he never imagined the bird would actually be a reincarnated sage from another world. With his new avian roommate teaching him all sorts of magic tricks, could this be Sasaki's chance to escape his droll office job? Magic, multiple worlds, and birds! What more could we want? I learned about this title at New York Comic Con. I was super excited. After hearing about all this cat manga, I was super excited to find that bird lovers like myself could finally have that action-adventure and fantasy story with a bird protagonist. I'm looking forward to learning more about Peace and their dual identity as a sparrow and a sage, and what kind of shenanigans they will get into while dispelling profound wisdom and fluffing their feathers.
World of possibilities. This is the most wanted, but not yet licensed one. Which means that no language manga is possible here. It's picked it up yet. But you know, in past years, we've mentioned a couple of titles that have actually been picked up. I think we maybe have about batting average. Let's see how we do this year. All right.
Oh, that's me.
Oh my God.
This is a license rescue. Viz published back in the late 2000s and into the early 2010s the first 16 volumes of Reborn. And at that time, it was one of my favorite titles that was coming out. And when I tell you devastated, when 17 was nowhere to be found, months went by, years went by, and when the years start coming, they really do not stop coming. And we're sitting here still with less than half this manga in English, and please, I'm begging you, get this out there. I would love it.
On the same vein, I think we need more manga than this really. We recently did a manga-explaining episode on crossing, and if you do not read crossing before, do not listen to the episode until you read it. You will regret it. It is really, really beautiful. It's a sport manga, but it is so much more. He's a masterful visual storyteller. He touches the heart. Great characters. I don't play baseball. I barely know how to play baseball. I go to baseball games just to drink beer and have fun. But I love it. Please, more of his manga.
So Zach Bell is an old favorite of mine. He grew up in the mid-2000s. You know what Galabar, you know what Galabar is about. But the premise is basically there's like 100 demon children. They call them Modo. They have to participate in this death battle. They came up with human partners, and they basically compete to decide on who's the new king of the Modo world. And the protagonist is a very pacifistic, kind person who wants to win the battle to change things in the world for the better. Series was never finished publishing by Viz because the creator Raikou had a conflict with Shogakukan after they lost pieces of his original artwork after the series ended. So he had a lawsuit filed against them as a whole thing. He left them. He had some work with Kodansha, but ultimately left them too. And now has been self-publishing the series and recently started up a sequel earlier this year that continues the story a few years later. Seeing the characters over and up, and I would really love to get a chance to read that and see the series republished.
Okay, we're going to have to, but then at the next one, we're going to do 30-second rounds, okay? Okay, so, go ahead, you still have a minute.
Kimi to Look is one of those classic shoujo series, and Kimi to Look Soulmate is the spin-off following the mean girl in Kimi to Look. She, in the original series, gets a beautiful redemption arc. So in the spin-off, you get to see her as she navigates through college and actually finds herself in a relationship where she feels accepted for who she is and not for her looks. Kimi Toloke, although it's an older shoujo series, it's still selling well. Most of the volumes are sold out at the moment. So the fact that we still don't have this spin-off, please just publish it, finish the story, give us the full arc for a character is actually one of the best ones in the full series.
I'm just saying, this is my little bonus. Go watch the anime. That's it. You want to read more. All right, underrated but awesome. 30-second rounds. Here we go. Bridget.
So, what about here? We're all grown-ups here, right? And also, it looks like an origami. But it is a similar kind of a story about a spirit who helps a girl at the school. But it is funny. It is self-aware. It is really cleverly written and a lot of fun to read. It sells really well, and I was like, why? And then I read it, and now I know why. Check it out.
A light recently went out in the world when Kazuki Takahashi passed. And I think that it was great timing for Viz to put out what he basically describes as a Marvel fan fiction, utilizing Spider-Man and Iron Man as they visit Japan and have to fight a villain that's ripped straight out of Yu-Gi-Oh! It is a single volume. It's printed in the same format as Western comics are, so huge pages, full color. It's an amazing display of his artwork and just a ton of fun.
I got a two-part interview with her, and she is an amazing creator. There's a story about a shy, mousy teacher, high school teacher, who has a deep, dark secret. She was sexually assaulted, and it has deeply traumatized her. She has a student who was also assaulted by an older woman. How these two damaged souls find each other is both touching and disturbing. And the way that Akane Torkai depicts sex and relations is very real. It's a manga that I couldn't stop thinking about and talking about after I read it. Yes?
I know I just complained about too much cat manga, but whatever. This is the story of a girl named Flora who inherits a mysterious mansion. Flora is a pale girl with long black hair and a gothic fashion sense. When she first moves into the mansion, she feels like she's being watched. She then comes to find that something already lives there, Creepy Cat. A white brown feline with red eyes, Creepy Cat seems like a regular cat, but he can float, move through walls, multiply himself, shapeshift, and more. They become friends, and the story follows scenes of their daily lives together, full of cute but troublesome pranks and dangerous adventures.
Talking about the roasting, take any misconception you have of shoujo, throw it out the window. This is a very dark story inspired by Shakespearean tragedies, Richard III and Henry VI. If you don't remember the Battle of the Roses, honestly, you'll get a little refresher with this, but you follow and intersects Richard III in this series. Also, think Game of Thrones. Lots of murder, lots of tragedy. You'll probably want to throw some of the volumes across the room because there's a lot that happens with each volume.
So this is an old manga. It's from the late 40s, but it's a charming comic about a young kid with big baseball dreams going from being all over the field to hitting home runs. It has baseball gags that remind me a lot of classic Peanut strips, designed to do that remind me of little Nancy Super Joe. I think there's some really good reminiscent cartooning here that's pretty timeless and it's fun. And it's a very influential comic, and Ryan Holberg's like 50-page essay about how it was one of the first serialized baseball manga ever, really talks about a genre. It's really fascinating, but the comic itself, I think it's just super entertaining.
Right. I decided to post on mangaspinextra.com, and after I have a little time to work on doing the video editing, you'll also see the video and that's live. There is much more manga to come at San Diego Comic-Con. Please visit these booths, go check out the account, and line up orderly here for your rock paper scissors. Right.